Hey everyone, welcome back. Tonight, we're traveling into the shadows of Asia, where certain places carry more than just history. They carry warnings. Our story takes us to Hong Kong, to a house that stands locked and silent, yet never forgotten. Locals call it Bella Vista Villa. It is a place that, even when left to rot, has never truly disappeared from the city's memory. Its shutters are sealed, its gates chained, and yet the house endures. From a distance, it looks almost ordinary. White paint weathered into gray patches, vines curling across the balcony railings, and windows dark, as if blind. But when evening comes, the silence thickens. Crickets fall quiet near its walls. Even dogs, usually restless in the night air, skirt around the property, refusing to bark. Why does this house hold such weight in local imagination? Some say it is cursed, an unlucky property where every attempt at demolition has ended in sudden accidents or inexplicable illness. Others dismiss it as coincidence, a relic of poor construction or bureaucratic delay. But in Hong Kong, people know better than to tempt fate. A cursed house, after all, is not just bricks and timber. It is a vessel for what remains unseen. And yet, someone did live in its shadow. A woman who thought she had found a quiet place, affordable and safe, tucked beside the mansion's sealed walls. She didn't believe in curses, at least, not at first. Her name, for the sake of privacy, we'll call her May, and it was through her eyes that the house revealed itself. Piece by piece. At 32, May worked long hours as an office clerk. She had no husband, no children, only a small circle of friends who teased her for choosing a place so out of the way. To her, though, the rent was reasonable, and the hillside location promised quiet after the noise of Causeway Bay. It's just an old house, she told herself when signing the lease. People exaggerate. Her first nights there were uneventful. The room smelled faintly of cedar and damp stone, but that was expected of any older building. She cooked simple meals, unpacked her boxes, and found comfort in the distant sound of waves rolling against the shore below. The space felt almost peaceful. But there were small details she noticed, ones that never quite settled. The air inside was cooler than outside, even in late summer. The walls seemed to breathe with a hollow echo, as if the main villa next door still held life. And one evening, as May washed dishes, she thought she saw a faint glow flicker across the villa's second-floor window. The first 2 weeks passed without trouble. May kept to her routines: early mornings, long commutes, late returns. She rarely gave the villa more than a passing glance. It was just a backdrop to her life. But one night, while stepping out onto the balcony to hang laundry, she noticed something that unsettled her. Across the courtyard, one of the villa's upstairs windows was glowing faintly. A square of yellowish light, soft but steady, as if someone had switched on a lamp inside. May froze. The property manager had told her the house was sealed, electricity long disconnected. She even remembered seeing the meter box padlocked shut when she moved in. She told herself it was nothing unusual, perhaps a reflection from a car's headlights on the winding road below, perhaps moonlight, bending strangely through the thick glass panes. But even as she reasoned, her eyes fixed on the glow. It wasn't flickering. It wasn't moving. It was the kind of warm, constant light that suggested presence. Later that night, while lying in bed, May wondered if she had imagined it. After all, she was tired, her eyes strained from computer work. People see things when they're exhausted. And yet, before sleep claimed her, she found herself whispering a question aloud. If it was empty, then who turned the light on? What do you think happened? The following evening, May tried to put the thought out of her mind. She returned home, cooked dinner, and kept the television on a little louder than usual. White noise to cover her unease. By the time she stepped out to bring in her laundry, the hillside was quiet. The cicadas softened into the background hum of summer. And then she saw it again, the same upstairs window, glowing faintly. This time there was more. Behind the glass, a shape. Not a moving figure, but a silhouette, upright, still. The outline was human enough to recognize. A head, shoulders, the faint suggestion of arms. Whoever or whatever it was, it stood perfectly still, facing outward. May gripped the balcony rail. She tried to convince herself it was a curtain pulled strangely, or the trick of shadows thrown by the street lamp. She leaned forward, squinting, and for a moment she thought the silhouette shifted slightly, as if leaning closer to the window, as if aware of being watched. Her breath caught. The air felt suddenly colder, even though the night was humid. Without thinking, she yanked her laundry inside, dropped it in a pile, and shut her curtains tight. That night she told herself, I won't look again. But of course, once you've seen something, you can't simply unsee it. May tried her best to ignore the villa after that night. She left for work early, came home late, and kept her curtains closed. For a few days the strategy seemed to work. No lights, no shapes, only silence. But silence, in a place like that, can carry its own weight. It began with a sound. 3 knocks. Sharp, deliberate, like knuckles on wood. They came late at night, just as May was about to drift into sleep. She sat up, listening. The sound came again, from the wall behind her bed, the wall that connected her small flat to the main villa. Old houses shift, she whispered to herself. Pipes, maybe. The next night, the knocks returned, louder, this time not 3, but 5, always the same rhythm, a pause, then a cluster of strikes. She pressed her ear to the plaster, her skin prickling at the cold seeping through. The wall felt almost alive, humming, faintly, as if something was waiting on the other side. By the 4th night, the knocks changed position, first behind her bed, then above her head, then at the far corner of the ceiling. It was as if something unseen was moving, tracking her within her own room. May curled under the blanket, heart pounding, too afraid to move. And in the stillness, she realized something. The knocks weren't random. They were answering her movements. By now, May was sleeping in fragments, light dozes, broken by the dread of those knocks. Each time they seemed sharper, closer, timed with her breathing. After nearly a week of restless nights, she decided to do what many of us might. She reached for her phone. At first, she simply recorded the sounds to prove to herself that something was there. She left the phone on her nightstand, microphone facing the wall. The knocks came, steady as ever. 3, then 5, then silence. She listened back immediately. The sound was clear, mechanical almost, like wood struck by bone. But on the 3rd recording, something different emerged, faint, just at the edge of hearing, woven between the knocks. A voice. It was female. Low, cracked, barely more than a whisper. In Cantonese, the words were unmistakable. Don't stay. May replayed it again and again, her chest tightening each time the syllables hissed through the static. She told herself it could be interference, a neighbor's TV, a radio signal, but deep down she knew the voice had come from the wall, from the same space that had been knocking on her night after night. The next morning at work, May showed the recording to a colleague. He frowned, listened once, and pushed the phone back toward her. "Delete it," he said flatly. "Don't keep things like that." May didn't delete it. Not yet. Some part of her wanted proof. But proof, she would soon learn, does not bring comfort. May lasted another week before speaking to anyone outside her circle of friends. She hadn't told her landlord, afraid she'd be laughed at, or worse, blamed for causing trouble. But one afternoon, while returning home with groceries, she crossed paths with an older neighbor, an elderly man, silver hair neatly combed, carrying a bamboo fan. Let's call him Mr. Chan. He saw her glance at the villa and with a weary smile said, "You've heard them, haven't you?" May froze, clutching her bag of vegetables. She hadn't spoken a word about the knocks, the light, or the voice, but Mr. Chan seemed to know. Slowly, as they stood at the edge of the road, he told her what he remembered. Decades ago, Bella Vista Villa had been the site of tragedies. Deaths whispered about but never officially recorded. A wealthy family torn apart by scandal. A maid who hanged herself in the stairwell. Rumors of a child drowned in the courtyard pond. The stories changed depending on who told them, but the endings were always the same. Grief, sudden death, and the house falling into silence. Over the years, the government had tried to sell the property. Buyers came and went, but each attempt was marked by accidents. Workers falling from scaffolding, owners succumbing to sudden illness, unexplained fires that burned only parts of the structure. Eventually, no one dared touch it. Mr. Chan shook his head, fanning himself slowly. That house doesn't want to be left alone. It wants people inside. It wants to keep them. May didn't ask any more questions. She didn't need to. After her conversation with Mr. Chan, May felt something shift inside her. It wasn't relief. It was the opposite. Confirmation. The knocks, the voice, the light. She wasn't imagining them. Others had felt the same weight pressing from those walls. That night, she slept with the lights on, her phone clutched in one hand. The villa loomed outside her window like a silent neighbor, its shuttered face always turned toward her. She found herself checking the curtains every few minutes, afraid she'd catch a shadow moving behind the glass. Within days, she made her decision. May packed her belongings quickly, stuffing clothes into boxes without bothering to fold them. She broke the lease, despite knowing she would lose her deposit. Money suddenly felt unimportant, compared to the tightening dread that lingered in her chest. When the moving truck arrived, she refused to step back into the villa's shadow, instead waiting at the corner of the road. The driver asked casually why she was leaving such a spacious flat so soon. May only shook her head. "I don't like the air there," she said quietly. It was the only explanation she could give. From that point forward, May avoided the hillside altogether. Even when visiting friends nearby, she took the long bus route around, adding an extra 30 minutes to her commute rather than past the chained gates of Bella Vista Villa. Some places, she realized, are not meant to be lived in, not meant to be seen twice. In Hong Kong, houses are more than structures. They hold memory, They absorb what happens inside them: joy, sorrow, love, or grief. A home with too much death, too much suffering, becomes what people sometimes call a hungry house. A hungry house is never satisfied. It pulls new lives inside, trapping families in cycles of misfortune. Bad luck follows the tenants, sickness clings to the walls, and no blessing or ritual can wash the stain away. That is why stigmatized properties are avoided, even when rents are low. A house with a history of suicide or violence is believed to pass its weight onto whoever dares to live there. Bella Vista Villa is seen by many as the ultimate example. Families who tried to renovate faced bankruptcy. Developers who wanted to demolish the house were met with accidents so frequent they began to feel less like chance and more like warning. Even passing taxi drivers, it said, will avoid stopping directly outside its gates after midnight. Of course, skeptics argue differently. They suggest the house is cursed not by spirits, but by reputation. Once a place gains a name, every misfortune nearby is blamed on it. Accidents on construction sites are common. Old pipes creak, old windows reflect light. People see what they expect to see, but still, the villa remains standing, untouched, unclaimed, like a wound the city refuses to close. So the question lingers: does the house survive because no one dares approach, or because it won't let them? And so we return to Bella Vista Villa, a mansion sealed for decades, yet never forgotten. Our witness, May, left quietly, unwilling to tempt fate any further. Others before her had tried the same, moving in, staying only briefly, then vanishing with whispers of strange lights, voices, or illness. The house remains, waiting. Why does this place endure? One possibility is simple fear, a cultural echo passed from mouth to mouth. In Hong Kong, where belief in restless spirits blends seamlessly with modern life, a single story can shape an entire neighborhood's view. Perhaps the knocks May heard were no more than settling wood, or water trapped in old pipes. Perhaps her phone picked up a stray signal, a fragment of a radio transmission, mistaken for a whisper. But there is another way of seeing it. Houses are not just brick and mortar. They are vessels of memory. In Chinese tradition, places where sudden or violent death occurred are thought to retain the spirit of that event. Just as a grave holds a body, a house can hold grief. And if enough grief accumulates, the house becomes something more than a place. It becomes an appetite. Bella Vista Villa may not be empty at all. It may be inhabited by what was left behind. So which explanation do you believe? Was May a tired office worker projecting fear onto shadows and sounds? Or was she another person, touched by a house that refuses to release its hold on the living? What do you think happened? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more true ghost stories from across Asia.